I mean, we never discussed it at the funeral. We were on our way back to 13 Station, and we must have been riding together.
We were, if my memory serves me right.
And we just started talking about what a shambles the fire department looked compared to the police. And then that just popped up, well, we should start our own honor guard. That's how simple and easy it was. Like it was not a lot of thought put into it. It was just, we should do it. And next thing you know, we were doing it.
I remember saying, Brian, you remember I said, we look like the raggedy-ass Fusiliers.
Yeah, something to that effect, yeah.
And the police at that time that was part of their training, was some semblance of parade training. So we discussed that too, if my memory serves me right. Why isn't this taught at drill school? We'd avoid all that. And it was shortly thereafter, because I recall writing a letter to then Chief Derek Jackson to give that some thought. And I think I was reminded about not to do that by Sanofsky again. We had a pipeline, him and I, a speed phone. Al on the other, me on the other end getting.
And the phone was out to ear on both ends.
So what year would that have been? When did this?
1970.
1970. So previous to 1970, there was no drill
No,
for rookies
nothing.
coming on.
Nope.
Nothing. You went to drill school, and
You learned how to get on and off the truck with a hose and a hydrant key and reload hose. That was basically the drill.
there was we went there in our casual clothes, work
Civies.
clothes.
We had no uniforms.
There was no uniform, nothing.
No.
What you did, you mooched from the other guys.
Guys that were already established. Yeah.
Hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
Basically hand-me-downs, yeah.
Old shirts. I had
Old shirts, old pants, yeah.
I had a shirt with an old, a small patch about that big, Calgary Fire Department. It was yellow on blue. And that's how old that shirt. And I had a pair of pants that I got from, my waist at that time was 30 inches. And the guy that gave me the pants, I think, was 36. So both my back pockets were right beside each other at the back after I had them tailored. But that's what you did. And you'd go to a hall, and if there was some benevolent guy in there, he'd, you need a shirt here. They were, from that aspect, they were good.
Because a lot of guys were moonlighting. Just about everybody that was on the floor was moonlighting. They just take the patches off their shirts and wear them for moonlighting, because they're such good shirts. I mean, that went on for years and years and years.
So in 1970, when you two were returning from, and it was a funeral.
Yes. Lloyd Duttonell's funeral.
And this conversation started up.
Yep.
And so the next step, yesterday you mentioned a letter.
Yeah, we drafted up a letter and sent it off to, I thought we sent it directly to the chief.
We did, and that Sanofsky was on the blower because I mentioned his name in the letter, that perhaps he would be gracious enough to
teach us,
to drill us, and he was on the blower. He was, the fire department is recognized as a quasi-military establishment, but not to the degree that Al wanted it. It was channels. That's why he was ticked.
So that was Al
Sanofsky.
Al Sanofsky. That was why he didn't want to do it, right? Because he didn't think you could get it up to the military standards. I'm just wondering why he was.
That's entirely possible, but
Yeah.
It's also possible that he was just fed up with the military drill aspect of life, because he was involved down at Mawada. He had been in the military for many, many years. And it could have been he just didn't want to have any more that sort of attention or lack of it. I don't know how you'd put it. But like I said yesterday, after a few months, his mind was changed by the chief.
With the chief's convention coming up.
Yes.
But Brian, he was an RSM.
Yep.
And he carried the stick around there.
You could tell he was well-drilled military man when he walked around the fire hall. He walked with a very pronounced stance and stature. And anybody that saw him kind of had that, wow, this guy's pretty sharp, or you better watch out for him. His bark was a lot worse than his bite. It really was, because once that Chiefs convention was over in 81,
No.
no, 71.
71.
71, he invited us all out to his acreage, and we had a heck of a good party out there. And he supplied everything, the booze, the food, the whole works. So he wasn't as tough as he, was thought of on the floor. But a lot of guys did have a conflict with him.
When I look at the picture that we're trying to identify, Brian mentioned it. It was such a shame that Joe Lucu, the old fire department, Fire Prevention Bureau photographer, was the photographer in those days. Excuse me. And we look at that picture, and we're jointly this morning trying to identify the various people. And of course, the front row, that's not so bad. We did do some of them, but the back is out of the question. It's too bad that that wasn't recorded at that time, because this is history. But we were able to, the people that we identified in the front row are all ex-service. Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Some just reserves, but they're all ex-military service, yeah.
What a great ground to build something like this on, though, is that military background, and then again bringing everybody into it.
Well, that's what made it so easy to train the guys and get them in step with each other, because it was second nature. It was just, some of the guys had been out for quite a while, some not so long, and it was just pick up right where they'd left before. So, and that's the reason why they were in the honor guard, because they had that desire to be professional and show that distinction on how to do things properly. I mean, even the flag ceremonies that they have today, I mean, it took a long time to get that perfected, because each service has a little bit different way of doing it. So,
And you recall, Brian, when it was a proud moment for me, and I know it was for you too, all of us for that matter. We marched down 9th Avenue during that Chiefs convention, and people were clapping for us. Yeah, that's what a memory that is.
yeah.
And we had the chrome pike poles and fire axes that were donated by Sproul, I think.
Sprouse.
Sprouse. And,
Sprouse fire extinguishers.
And
yeah.
it was a proud moment for us, and it made everything. We put a lot of work into this, Brian and me, to establish it. So that was the culmination of it. That just, as I said, a proud moment.
And like Dennis alluded to earlier, and I mentioned yesterday, this legacy is something we never dreamed would ever happen. We never thought of, once the honor guard got going and everybody was having their fun, we did all these different functions, we never gave it a second thought about how long it was going to continue, or would it continue. And look at where they're at today. They've got an excellent core of people there to run it and keep it going, and it's somewhat humbling to look back and say, yeah, that's part of my legacy. And Dennis's as well.
I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, now it's not a grab a guy by the collar and get him marching. It's a selection process, is that correct? And that's good. And I suggest to you that it's probably unique to this department, the way that, just as I said, we were the first in Canada. Now, you don't just present yourself and say, well, I'm going to march with you guys tonight. It's not going to happen. Here, well, we're going to approve you first. That's nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you think about it, how your beginnings here have expanded like across the country. There isn't a fire department, even volunteer departments now have honor guards.
Yeah,
It's
but
cool to think that you guys started that.
yeah, that's like I say, that's part of the legacy. It's for me, it's humbling, but I'm proud of it as well. And some of the departments, they only form up when there are functions, but our guys are available. They'll do all kinds of civic functions, which we used to do as well. Hall openings, functions for City Hall, for the mayor, and all that sort of thing. I mean, we had a really good rapport with Ralph Klein when he was mayor, we were always hanging out with him.
Grant McEwen.
Grant McEwen was another great, you know, couldn't wait to get involved with these people because they were special people in their day. And it was, you know, when you look back and you see the history in the books and everything else, it's really, really quite nice.
Well, you go from, remember the short patrol, Brian? Yeah. That's pretty much what some of the departments are like. Well, if there's going to be a department funeral, you're honor guard. We've expanded far beyond that. That's a testament to the people, the members that picked up the tradition from us.
And to the quality of the recruits of the fire department as well. They have that desire to be there. I don't know how many of them that are Guard members today are actual military veterans. I would assume some of them are, maybe most of them. I don't know about all of them. But it's just nice to see that they, somewheres in their psyche, they have that desire to stand out and show up for the department.
And that's what it is too, Brian, is pride in the job.
Yeah.
The job. That's a term that's peculiar to the fire department, whether you're aware of that or not. All departments right across Canada, they refer to it as the job. And that's unique. And it is the job. They could expand it and call it the brotherhood, because that's precisely what it is. And we Brian and me are proud to say we took it a step beyond that with the honor guard. That's my take on it. You agree with that?
Definitely.